So I'm here chatting with Mike Merren, who is the Director of Development at Big Ant Studios. We're going to be talking all about Cricket 22 today. So first of all, Mike, how are you? How are things leading into now, I guess, an extra week before the release of the game?
Yeah, it's been an interesting 3 or 4 days, and we're as calm as we can be. It's I suppose it's like a duck on water. It looks quite calm at the above it, but there's a lot of thrashing around going on with the feet underneath at the moment.
Cricket 22, it's now maybe like the 5th or 6th iteration of cricket games that you guys have done. What makes this one different, or in your eyes, or what makes it sort of the new standout game compared to what you've previously produced?
Yeah, look, I think one of the key things in Big Ant games in the past is we've tended to go, here's all the features, here's the game modes, everything, and kind of throw people into the fire, if you like, and just say, here it is, away you go, whether it be the player creator, the career, there's and just gameplay in general was kind of may not have been as pick up and play as some other games. So we try to make this one a little bit more accessible in terms of how people can get introduced to it, whether that be the way the tutorials are put together, how we start off the career mode and have cutscenes and be a bit more immersive in terms of taking you through what you need to do in the career. So we've got an initial section that's you meet a coach, you talk to your manager. It kind of takes you through what you need to do to get your career set up, rather than just going bang, give yourself a name, make yourself a face, and play a match. Now it's a lot more structured in terms of how that career goes together, even to the degree where the player creator has layers to it. So if you just want to go in and go, okay, I want someone with brown hair and a sticky out ears and a beard, then it's very easy to kind of do that, and you get someone that looks reasonable. Whereas in our old games, it might be very easy for someone to go in with all the sliders, and suddenly you're kind of looking at going, oh God, what have I done to the eyes? Or, I've made the nose look really weird, and it's hard to then get it back. So we've made it easier there, but then there's still the ability to go down a layer and change those nasal folds that affect your laughter lines and all that kind of stuff. So there's, I suppose, it's just making that more accessible. So if you didn't want to delve in and kind of get to the nitty gritty, we're not throwing that in your face straight away, which I think we've done a little bit too much of in the previous games.
So you talk a lot about like new players there. Like what's something that a new player can like look at this game and go, all right, this is why I need to get it?
I think, the big thing is career's always been a big part of what we do in the game, and I think just that immersive element now, and taking yourself through from a club cricketer all the way through to, whether it be winning ODI championship as an Englishman from my point of view, or representing Australia and winning the Ashes. There's that progression that's there with career, and we've kind of really tried to make that, as I say, a more immersive kind of experience this time, and I think that's going to be a key thing that people, when they first go into the game, are going to want to experience. I guess let's
talk more about the career now. You've got narrative elements into it. Like, what does that entail? And I guess for those people who have played the previous games and they've gone through and played, match after match after match, what are the things that they're now going to get that's going to break up that gameplay and change the way that they experience the career mode?
Yeah, so look, a key thing in that is, as you go through, you have press conferences, man of the match awards, all sorts of things that kind of progress your career, and things like press conferences, depending on how you answer questions, could affect whether or not you become captain. So all those things kind of add together in terms of how your career progresses. Sponsorships that you get will give you boosts to your career and your career skills, and so you've got this whole skill system that you need to work on and get yourself better, as well as, I suppose, some off-field elements that, from a press conference point of view, will also structure what your career is. So the key thing is really that we put more of a structure there. In the old game, you could quite literally have a tour match in India as an Australian player, and then the week later be flying off to play in a Caribbean Premier League match, which in reality just isn't going to happen. It's not something that's, you'd be fatigued and jet lagged and God knows what else. Whereas now we've kind of structured that so that whatever's possible in a real career is actually what you're going to get. It's if you go off and do a tour for Australia, you're not going to suddenly be playing in a big Bash League match, for instance, stuff like that.
So the press conferences can affect whether or not I become the captain. If I am an asshole to everyone in the press conferences, am I never going to be the captain of Australia?
Effectively, you're going to have to have performed exceptionally well in other areas if you want to be the captain. If you're going to do those kind of things, it may just be too tempting to be nasty in a press conference. And funny enough, that's the kind of thing we found that with our tennis game when we put reactions in there, and we were surprised when we saw, how many people you could do negative and positive reactions on the tennis court, and I think analytics showed that there was millions upon millions of these reactions done. And actually, funny enough, most of them were positive. So it does depend. It's a surprise. We thought they'd be negative, but actually they were mostly positive. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what people do on the cricket game in terms of press conferences.
Do you think those press conferences can get a bit repetitive? I'm sure that's a challenge for you guys when you were, working through it was, how do we make this non-tedious or repetitive for people if they're doing it constantly? Like, how do you manage the level of that versus the games?
I mean, there's a number of things. I mean, the press conferences are one thing that we sparingly do. It's not like you go in and every match you're going to come out and have a press conference. It depends on your performance. It depends what level you've got to. If you're at club cricket, you're not getting press conferences. That's something you get as your career builds. So it's not like in a 15-hour career you're going to find yourself doing 100 press conferences. It's certainly something that we do based on your progression in the game, but even within that we have thousands of questions and multiple thousands of answers that can be given based on that as well. So it should be kept fresh in that sense. It's not something that, as I say, every match you're suddenly sitting down going, I think I did have a good match. It's not that kind of scenario.
This is the first time you would have had the Big Bash officially in one of your major simulation titles. How have you approached that? I guess they have a million different rules. Are we going to see the same sort of rules reflected in the game? I think it was last season they had that weird power surge. Is that
power surge?
Yeah.
Yes. So the power surge, and there's another rule as well which I can't remember off the top of my head. But yes, there's whatever rules they've got.
Oh, the weird sub. That might have been the other rule.
Sub, that's right. Yes, the sub thing. So those things are definitely going to be reflected as the tournament's on. Obviously, things like the bat flip instead of a coin toss, all those kind of things will be there. Where we can, the BBL will kind of reflect what you see in. From a broadcast point of view.
Is that a challenge, I guess, having so many different formats? You've got obviously Test one day, T20, now there's the 100, there's T10 competitions around the world as well, and they're all played so differently. How do you work from an AI point of view as to how they play each game differently to make it competitive against, a user would automatically go, this is how I'm going to play that. But from an AI point of view, how do you approach that?
Yeah, look, it's a challenge. It's funny enough, from when we did Bradman back in 2014, we had our match type generator or designer that people could use. And back then we had T10s as a match type. I'm not even sure that real world were using T10s as a match type, so I'm not sure if we were the first ones. Maybe they took it from us. But so taking all those different formats and making the AI kind of work with it, and also allow the human player to kind of be able to go out and go, right, okay, well, I'm just going to hit the ball around. It's a challenge. I don't think any other sports game needs to deal with that. If it's football, it's 11 aside and 90 minutes, and there's set rules that a lot of these sports will have, and cricket's definitely out there in terms of all those things. So we generally have, I think, in terms of the AI, we try to make it so that there's we have a thing called confidence. So based on the batters that come to the crease, and based on the conditions. So if it's like a test match where you've got a red ball and it's moving around more, you're going to need to get yourself settled in, because the quality of delivery that the bowler's going to be bowling at you, you need to be a bit more defensive, or a little bit more careful about how you go about it. When you go into T20s, the ball's not moving as much, the pitch is generally flatter. We then have, as I said, a confidence element that will bump up for those batters that come in for the shorter formats, which means that you're less likely to edge the ball immediately. You can go after the ball a bit earlier, which kind of helps you kind of chase that. I mean, the converse is obviously the AI get that as well, and so you've got to kind of knuckle down with your bowling to try and make sure that you limit them. But it allows the test matches to kind of flow a little bit more naturally, and then the T10s, T20s to be those kind of, I suppose, slogfests, for want of a better description.
We've got a stack of new commentators in this game as well. How does that? What's the challenge been like? I guess working with, I think, is it 5 or 6 commentators and building a real broadcast team. I'm sure there would have been a lot going into that. Yeah.
So who have we got? There's 5 people. So there's Mike Atherton, David Gower, Mel Jones, Ali Mitchell, and Ian Healy, who we've added on as well. So I think we had Mel Jones last time, but everybody else is new. COVID has made it interesting as well in terms of just getting those recording artists into studios and getting everything done from a script point of view. It's been interesting to try and just get that all pulled together and take our original kind of commentary system and try and improve on it as well as we've gone forward. So there's the great thing is that these guys are very professional, and the likes of David Gower are just pretty incredible in terms of how they you kind of almost call them a machine in terms of they get in the studio and they're able to go through the script on the fly, maybe change a few things that work, how more they would say certain things. It's been a lot of fun in terms of getting those guys on board and into the game. And obviously with the male and female cricket side of things, Mel Jones and Ali Mitchell are kind of that they are commentating on their own in the women's game. So I think that's the first time that there's been an all-female commentary team for women's matches, which is great.
Is there anything for people who have been playing these games for a while that they're going to, I guess, outside of career mode, that they're going to really see jump out at them as like different, or something that they're going to look at and go, all right, this is why I want this game, compared to sticking with like one of the older games, I guess?
So I think some of the things they're going to really enjoy is just the changes we've made in gameplay in general. We've put a direct hit mechanic, which is when you've got a run out chance, we now go into a dynamic slow-mo that allows the player to kind of target the stumps directly. So you choose your end, and then you've got a press and hold a button to actually then settle on targeting the stumps. And that works extremely well and gives you a good amount of tension as you're trying to get a run out. Animation wise, we've added, there's about 10 extra bowling animations for different bowlers around the world. We've got some more batting animations. We've got extra mocap from one of the Australian batters, Elise Villani. So she's now done some mocap for the game. We've got some additional stuff from Steve Smith that we put in the game. So there's, in terms of just animation and gameplay, it just takes it up a notch from where it's been in Cricket 19. Extra batting animations. We've put in a few things that are more T20 as well. So there's like some Glenn Maxwell stuff to do with like bazooka shots and extra kind of things that you probably only play in T20 matches. Just those things from an animation point of view, fielding point of view, have all kind of been ratcheted up for this game. The
online has been something that I personally haven't really used in the previous games. Has sort of been the leaderboard and stuff. What can we see from online play? Like, is there going to be any cross-play between platforms? What's now switched up with the online play that people can be like, okay, this is something I would like to spend some time doing?
Yeah, so we haven't added cross-play yet. That's something that we're looking at for the future. But the key thing is we've added an extra an extra mode, which is online leagues, which effectively you go in and from our vast array now of licensed players, you basically pick a squad, which will be you're allowed to have a certain amount of players above 90, a certain amount of players from 80 to 90, etc. So you've got to have a wicket keeper, you've got to have a certain amount of spin bowlers. So you set up your squad, and then you can take that online in a 1v1 kind of league system, and you've got to win as many matches as possible to kind of get up the ladder, essentially. And those will be run as leagues over a space of kind of 1 month and 3 month cycles as they're then reset. But yeah, you effectively pick your kind of ideal sort of squad to take online and play against other people. I think it's been called kind of like your dream squad or whatever, but as I say, it's called online leagues at the moment.
Is that going to be like competitive, like base matchmaking, where it's sort of like you're matched up against like similar skills? Is that what you mean by like moving up the leaderboards?
Yeah, I mean the way because of the way that it's done is that each of your squads will be sort of balanced anyway because of the players you're going to pick in terms of their overalls that they're able to have. So you're going to kind of have this sort of balanced squad in that regard. And then it'll come down to the skill of the player. And then, matchmaking will be based on where you are on that ladder then.
So with Cricket 22 just a couple of days away now from launch, just wanted to say thank you to Mike again for joining me to chat all things Cricket 22. We got a lot of information there. We've seen a few bits of gameplay start to pop up over the last few days, as well as more and more people sort of get their hands on the game. I think there's sort of an old build been floating around on the Xbox. Maybe the digital store there has sort of started to show some things. But we're going to get to see some real stuff very, very soon. I'll get my hands on it on Thursday. With most of you as well, with I'm sure a lot of people who are planning on getting the game on Thursday, and we'll really be able to dive into everything that is new in Cricket 22. So exciting times ahead. I'm keen to check it out. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below if you're going to get it, and hopefully then once we get our first chance to play it, we'll see what it's all about. But thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, I will see you all later. Goodbye.